morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Travel Jack. I'm your host, Jack, and today is day number 12 of my 29-day epic European mega trip all over Europe. This morning, we're waking up here in this fun little, small little quirky room in Venice, Italy, and we're running late. I got a late start today, so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. We're going to go downstairs, have a very quick breakfast, and jump on the Vaporetto. That's the water taxi, a boat, up towards the train station, and we're going to get this day started. Let's go. This is one of the smallest elevators I've ever seen, and it's a lot of fun though. It's a fun little quirky hotel. I like it. All right, this is how we're filming today, keeping it light. Okay, typical buffet setup breakfast. It's very crowded in here, so I can't show you too much, but I'll show you my plate and what I'm having. We're gonna eat real quick, and then I should be on time for our plans today. So I just got a little bit of a late start because I wanted to look through this guidebook. We're gonna do a boat tour in just a few minutes. And I wanted to make highlights of what I need to look at and stuff during the tour before I got my day started. So I did that, but it put me a little bit behind schedule, but we're back on track if we eat real quick. Not a big deal. So anyway, here's my breakfast. We got a croissant, some kind of dessert-looking pastry, potatoes, carrots, scrambled eggs, and orange juice. So this looks really good. Let's enjoy a very quick breakfast. All right, pretty good breakfast. I wanted to show you more, but it's busy in there. Wow, I'm surprised at how many people are in there. And actually on the boat last night too, when I came in from the train station, it was pretty crowded as well. So a lot of people here, and it is Saturday, so it's the weekend. So that's probably part of the reason why. But anyway, we're heading down to the boat. And one thing I immediately noticed as well last night and this morning is that Italians, they don't believe in personal space. They just come right up on you. I don't like that at all. But whenever someone's like right behind me, I kind of move to the side like that so they're not right behind me because it makes me nervous. But anyway, I guess that's just cultural difference. They don't mind being in crowded conditions, stuff like that, being close to strangers. I think it's weird, but anyway, yeah, we're walking distance just right down like a block, like half a block from the Grand Canal, the Vaporetto stop. So I'm going to take the Vaporetto up to actually past the train station. I'll explain more when we get up there, but we're going to get up towards the train station and we're going to do the cruise from the train station all the way down to St. Mark's Square. And I guess you don't really need leashes around here because there's no streets. Well, I guess there's still reasons to have a leash, but I've noticed, I've seen several dogs, none of them have leashes, which is interesting. But anyway, we're gonna take the Vaporetto and do a Grand Canal tour. All right, let's get going. All right, if you wanna go to Lido, it's this side. And Piazza Roma is this side, that's the one we're taking. All right, so here was the train station, Ferrovia, and but we're going to go past it one more to Piazza Roma. Am I saying that right? I don't know. But we're doing that because I want to get our tour started there because big crowds get on the boat at the train station. So I want to get on the boat before the train station. Some boats have seats in the front, in the bow, and hopefully my boat will have those, but some of them don't. So fingers crossed we get the right kind of boat that I want for better views of the tour. If not, we'll work with it. So anyway, I'm not going to film going up to the beginning, but once we get there, I'm going to film the whole tour all the way down. I'll put highlights in this vlog, but on a separate video I'll put the entire thing if you want to watch the whole boat ride. I'm going to guess it's like 40 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. So it's going to be it's spectacular. I mean, already. Wow. So all right, let's get going, and we'll get up to Piazza La Roma. Here we are at Piazzale Roma. Am I saying that right? Piazzale Roma. Anyway, we've got to go to boat dock C to turn around, go the other way, and then I'll record the whole trip all the way down to the St. Mark's Square. It's going to be spectacular. And I'll put highlights in this video, like I said before. If you want to watch the whole video, the whole boat tour, I'll put that on a separate video. So enjoy the tour of the Grand Canal right here in Venice, Italy. My plan worked. I'm in the very front of the boat. The boat has there's the captain, the pilot, and there's seats right in front. Some boats don't have the seats up here. So my plan worked. We got up here to this first station, and I got on before we get to the train station. I got right up in the very front, exactly where I wanted to sit for the best views. So enjoy this, the grand tour of the Grand Canal in Venice, Italy. Venezia, Italia. Enjoy. Wow.
En ese coso que lo pasás hay un botón como para hablar con alguien, ¿viste? Claro, buscar. Y por ahí te comunicás. Es como un portero eso. Decía uno de hablar, ¿viste? Tipo así.
Este puente de madera, ¿sí?
Okay, that was a spectacular tour of the Grand Canal, and the total video went about 50 minutes, 50. I highly recommend watching the whole thing. It was spectacular. Right in the front of the boat, it was really great. So lots of historic sites to see, and I'm glad I took the extra time this morning in the skybook to highlight the things to see, because it really was worth following along and seeing what I was looking at and knowing where to point the camera. So, but it was a spectacular boat ride all the way down the Grand Canal to right here in St. Mark's Square. Off to my left is it's like a little market area with souvenir stands and stuff, and there's looks like a whole shopping street goes all the way down. Spectacular. But we're going to head off to my right where St. Mark's Square is and check out all the sites there. Right, you'll notice here these little platform things here, and I mentioned it in the last video when I arrived here in Venice, that once in a while when the tide gets really high, the canal will flood. Almost all of Venice, it will flood, and they'll have to set up these little walkways so you can get around without having to wade through the water. So they've got them ready to go here all around St. Mark's Square. And just a fun little fact about Venice. And is it sinking? Many think it is sinking. But definitely probably climate change is part of that as well. But anyway, I'm hoping it doesn't happen during my visit, but I kind of hope it does, because it'd make a great video, but it would be a big pain to have to navigate around that. Doesn't look like it's going to happen during my visit, but it's interesting to see their little solution for the high tides here in Venice. Wow, spectacular. So right behind me, that's St. Mark's Basilica. Beautiful. The Campanile, or the bell tower, right here. And then we have about a century apart. This is called the old offices, and on the other side is the new offices. And you can tell the difference by the columns and the way the columns are constructed. And behind me, this part was built later to try to bridge the two. But as you can see, they built it too high on this side and too low on that side. So it's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting architecture here at St. Mark's Square. Just spectacular. Wow. Okay, I mentioned earlier about high tides and flooding in Venice, and right here you can see one of these stones here. The water kind of bubbles up through these stones, and that's why you can see right now there's little puddles here and there of water, that's seawater, that comes up. And when high tide happens, it all kind of bubbles up through here, and then when it gets to a certain level, they sound an alarm, and everybody kind of runs home and rolls up their carpets and puts barriers up and all kinds of stuff to protect their homes and everything like that. But over here on, I think they have it covered up right now. They have construction going on here, but they have some instruments that measure the tides and the sea level, and they can be prepared for when the high tides come in. And also, I showed you earlier, but they got the little walkways here ready to go. So when the water starts coming up, they quickly set up the walkways. And yeah, it's interesting how they deal with the water and climate change that are bringing up water flooding throughout Venice. Also, I'm going to show you there's a little white plaque right here that was in a flood in 1966 that caused all kinds of chaos here, but that was the high water mark in 1966, and there's a stone plaque there right here on the 300-foot tall Campanile bell tower. Anyway, pretty fascinating stuff here in Venice, Italy. Okay, I have a 12 o'clock reservation. That's just a few minutes from now to tour the inside of St. Mark's Basilica right behind me. And wow, that's going to be spectacular. And so anyway, I'm going to go inside there. I reserved a ticket ahead of time. It cost me about 20 euros, which is about $20 at the time of booking. And yeah, so and there's a museum inside as well, I think. So I'm going to go inside, check that out. I don't think they allow photography or video inside, so I'll give you my review when I come out. But pro tip, book your ticket ahead of time, because this long line here is to buy a ticket to go inside. I already have my ticket, and they have a much shorter entrance line over here waiting for me to go right in. So I'm going to go inside, check out St. Mark's Basilica right here in St. Mark's Square in Venice. Wow, that was spectacular. That was an unexpected surprise. I knew it would be spectacular checking out the inside of the Basilica, but the star of the show, by far, hands down, the museum admission. Wow! So you get to go inside, you get to climb up and see parts of the Basilica not accessible to people who don't have the museum admission. There's all kinds of stuff to see in there. I didn't have time to, you could spend a whole day in there. I only allocated 1 hour and I went over that. But wow, spectacular. The horses up here are replicas. The real ones, the original ones, are inside the museum, so we went and saw those as well. And then you can crawl up, climb up inside the staircases in there and see areas of the inside of the Basilica. Wow, that was amazing. I really enjoyed that. That was spectacular. You could spend a whole day in there just exploring and learning all the history and all the artifacts they have in there, all the stuff on display. There's so much to see, and unbelievable, spectacular. If you're coming to visit this, it's spectacular to see it, just the basic inside of it. If you're walking out of here and not checking out that museum admission, you're making a mistake. Buy the admission. I think it's at the gate, it's €7 or €7.50 or something like that. I paid ahead of time for a combo ticket and saw everything in there, and it was spectacular. It was amazing. Big thumbs up. Wow. St. Mark's Basilica. I've already missed my lunch. I had lunch scheduled for now, but we have a 2 o'clock reservation for more museums, and so I don't know when I'm going to eat today, but eventually we'll grab something to eat. But anyway, next up, I think is the Doge's Palace right over here. That big building right there. I think that's up next at 2 o'clock. Okay, once again, this is when proper planning pays off. And I do all my planning in advance. I book everything, pay for everything, book my time slots and everything. And here's where it pays off, because as you can see here, I can go into this entrance, prepaid tickets only. And I'm prepaid, I can walk right in. If you didn't do that, you have to go over here and stand in a very long line to buy your ticket. And especially in the summertime, you could be waiting hours extra just to buy a ticket. So, but I already did it in advance. I'm ready to go in. This is when the planning pays off. So if you don't like to plan ahead, you're going to waste a lot of time in lines. So anyway, let's go inside Doge's Palace. Here we go. Hello.
Excuse me, sir. Videos would not be allowed.
Okay, spectacular visit to Doge's Palace. That was a lot longer than I expected it was. I didn't realize you also go across the Bridge of Sighs and into the prisons. I'll talk a lot about more of that a little bit later. It took a little bit longer than I expected, and I have another reservation for this museum as well, included in the same tickets, a combo ticket. I was supposed to be here at 3:30. It's like 3:45, so I'm sure they'll let me in still. But we'll go in and check out this museum. Correr? I don't know. Let's go inside. By the way, they did not allow video in Doge's Palace, but they did allow photos. So I'll share more information and some of those photos with you later tonight when I get back to the hotel room. In the meantime, let's go inside this museum. I have no idea what's in here. Let's check it out. All right, looking straight up. Grand entrance here. I don't think we're even in the museum proper, but what an entrance. And again, I don't know if they allow video or photos inside. We'll find out shortly. But here we go, Correr Museum. Okay, interesting look at the history of Venice here at the Correr. Am I saying that right? Correr? I don't know. This museum right here. But anyway, interesting look. They have a lot of old things on display. Everything from coins. God, they had really old coins that dated back to before Christ. But they had a lot of globes and maps and shipbuilding. And I'm sure they have a very fascinating nautical history living here in Venice. And oh gosh, old books and art and furniture even that goes back a ways. And I just didn't have time to be very thorough with reading the information about what I was looking at. They're closing up here. It's almost 5 o'clock, and so I had an hour to hour and a half to look around in there and It's a pretty big museum. But yeah, again, I started doing videos in there, and then they kindly asked me not to do video. They said photos are okay. Earlier I asked, why can you do photos and not video? And they said, well, if people take video, then and people watch the video of it, then they won't come and buy a ticket. I said, yes, they will. They'll come and buy a ticket. But that's okay. That's your policy. It's fine. But anyway, I'll share a little bit more later tonight from the hotel room about my visit here, and share a little bit of things pictures and videos that I took inside both museums, Doge's Palace and the Correr Museum. But for now, I need to find something to eat. I'm getting really hungry. I didn't have lunch, and it's almost 5 o'clock. It's almost dinner time. I'm debating if I should just go straight to dinner or if I should have a snack somewhere. I don't know. We'll walk around and check it out. This is an interesting city. You get all these little tiny little alleyways. Look at this. And I just ran into the hotel. I had originally booked a hotel right here, and it's in this alleyway here. But it's another hotel that they closed for renovations or for the season or something, and they canceled the reservation, so I had to rebook somewhere else. But this is where I wanted to have lunch. Restaurant alla Basilica. But it looks like it's a lunch-only place. It's not open for dinner. So I think we're going to hop on the Vaporetto and just jump straight into dinner. I have interesting plans for dinner. We're going to check this out. Something suggested in this book here. So let's go hop on the boat. Back on the boat, we're heading to Rialto Mercato stop, and there's something called the Cicchetti pub crawl dinner. Anyway, you go around to different pubs, and they have little toothpick foods on trays. You can sample different items and have a glass of wine here and there, and you can walk around to different places and it's supposed to be a Venetian type of experience, so we're going to head over there and see what we can find for dinner in Venice, Italy. Okay, we're off of Rialto Mercato stop, and you can see there's a lively scene going on here. But we want to go down, I think, about 2 blocks, and we're looking for a place called Bar Al Arco, something like that. Something Arco, but it's not gas. It's a restaurant. All right, let's go check it out. All right, well, we found it, but as you can see, it looks pretty locked up tight and dark, and there's a sign on the door. If I interpret it right, it says they'll be back February 9th. So maybe they're on a vacation or closed temporarily for some reason. But anyway, I think if we keep going down this way, there's a place called Cantina du Mori, something like that. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that completely wrong. But should be close by. Let's go check it out. Strike 2. Today's January 20th. Looks like they'll be back on the 23rd of January. So let's check out the next place. Okay, this is the next place. Looks like I'm striking out on these kind of places. Must be closed in the off season. Cicchetti. But there's one more place to look for. Let's go see if that one's open. Okay, I found one that's open, but it looks absolutely packed out the door. Does not look fun, so I'm gonna go somewhere else and find maybe a more traditional restaurant to sit down at. I've been having a hell of an experience trying to find somewhere to eat. My plans are out the window. So I'm going to head back towards where my hotel room is in that area near Academia. And there's one other place I want to see if they're open called Bar Foscarini. And we'll see if that works out. If it doesn't, I'm going to go back to that same restaurant I went to last night. That was a really good restaurant. I do want to try their pizza and their tiramisu. And maybe a starter too, I don't know. But I had a really good meal there last night, so that will be our plan, and it's both really close to the hotel. I may or may not call it a night after that, I'll see. I was thinking of heading back to St. Mark's Square. Those cafes are supposed to be a nightlife spot, but they didn't seem very happening when I was there today, and it's cold out. I don't know that I want to sit out in the cold tonight. We'll decide after dinner, but in the meantime, we're heading back on the boat to Academia stop, and we'll find something to eat there. Okay, my luck with restaurants has been very frustrating. I think the place called Bar Foscarini is where these tables and chairs are stacked, not being used. So anyway, I'm going to go to this other restaurant. I know where it is. I know it's good food and good service, so I'm going to go eat there again. All right, let's go. I've got things to say at the end of the night, but that's good. It's a Bellini. Oh, that's good. What? Okay, pretty good dinner there. I had a Bellini to start as an aperitivo, and then I had the pizza. It was their house specialty pizza. Had artichoke hearts on it, sausage, and some other things, and it was pretty good. Wasn't the mind-blowing pizza experience I was imagining I would have in Italy. was like, oh wow, I love pizza. Imagine how it is in Italy. Well, it was good. It was very good. There's nothing wrong with it. It was excellent pizza, but it wasn't the mind-blowing experience I always had dreamed that it would be. But anyway, last night's dinner was definitely much better, which was recommended by the waiter. I had a different waiter tonight, but excellent. It was excellent pizza, and I also had a blonde ale with the pizza. I was gonna try the house-made tiramisu, but I'm just too full. That pizza's pretty big, so I decided to cash out. And but I really enjoyed this restaurant. It's Terrazza dei Nobili, and a big thumbs up on this restaurant. Fantastic. The service is excellent, food is excellent, and very good food. I finally ate. I didn't have lunch today, so I was happy to have a nice big pizza. Anyway, I got more to show you. I want to get back to the hotel room first, and then I want to show you about my visits to the Doge's Palace, and also the Correr Museum. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm pronouncing it wrong. But I got lots of stuff to share with you there. And then we'll wrap up our day. And I've got a few things to say about my visit here to Venice, Italy. So let's get back to the hotel room and we'll wrap it all up. All right, welcome back. I'm back in the hotel room, and I decided not to go back to St. Mark's Square. I have a feeling it's just not going to be much going on tonight, and I need to get to bed pretty soon. It's not late or anything, but I do have to get up early. So to get a decent amount of sleep, I should probably wrap it up here. But anyway, dinner was great, and but I've got more to share with you before we wrap it up. So let's talk about first the visit to the Doge's Palace. Now, when I first entered the building, somebody stopped me and very, very nicely told me, oh, you can't take video. You can take all the photos you want, but you can't take video. And I said, that's kind of strange. Why is that? And he said, well, it's because if people can watch just the video online, then they won't come over here and buy a ticket. I'm like, well, sure they will. You know, watching something on TV isn't the same as experiencing something in person. It's a whole different thing. And he said, well, it's also for security. People can come in and take video. We got very valuable things here, and you can take video of, where the security cameras are and stuff. And I just told him, okay, but I'm thinking in my head, that doesn't make sense either. You can come in with you can take still photos of where the security cameras are, and or even a notepad and paper and a pen and write it down. I mean, that doesn't make any sense what he's saying. So anyway, thumbs down on their filming policy. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But at least they let me take photos. So anyway, I followed the rules. But anyway, so I went in there, and what a spectacular building. Now, back in the day, Venice was a political powerhouse of the area. And so this is where all the politics would happen, and they'd have a Senate there, and they'd make the laws and all kinds of things. They'd even have criminal proceedings, and so this would all happen in this building. So every room that you go through is filled with just wall to ceiling, just painted with these beautiful paintings and art, and wow, it's just gorgeous in there. But one of the highlights of that was in this room called the Senate Hall. And on the ceiling, there's this painting called Triumph of Venice, and it's just spectacular. But paintings in every room. You go through all these rooms with all these paintings. And then you come in to the armory, and it was more of a display of power rather than using it. And over time, it became more of like gifts and for parades and things like that. It wasn't actually used for weaponry. It was designed that way at first, but as time went by, they weren't involved in too many wars and stuff. It became more of a decorative kind of thing. But they had just an impressive amount of armory in there from back in the day, medieval type of stuff. They've got suits of armor and spears and swords and crossbows and things like that, and some guns in there too, a few guns in there, but just several rooms filled with all of this armor and weapons and stuff. That was really cool looking. But then you go through and you find the room, a series of rooms. First you go across what's called the Bridge of Sighs. And the bridge connected from where they would have trials for people, and they were convicted and then sentenced to jail, and they would go straight across from the trial, across this bridge over to where the prisons are. And they call it the Bridge of Sighs. And they call it that because there's windows, and as they're crossing the bridge, they could see out the window and see the lagoon and everything out there in Venice, and it's kind of their last look at freedom before they're locked up for however long they're locked up. And they take a big sigh because it's the last view they're going to get of freedom. So they cross over this bridge, and on the tour, we go through the same bridge, and you can look out the windows from the Bridge of Sighs. And then you go through all of these cells and prisons, and it looks completely different where the prisons are than where the Senate Hall and everything is. And yeah, it was just spectacular to see all the prisons and stuff. And it's kind of neat to go through there and see what the prison was like. Before I forget, there was another room before we got to the prisons, and it was called the Hall of the Grand Council. Now, this was a huge room, even bigger than the previous Senate room, and it was. I did wide angle view on my camera and still couldn't get it all in one shot. It was gigantic, and inside of this room is a painting, and it's not just any painting, it's the world's largest oil painting, and it is gigantic. I think it's called Paradise or something like that, and it predicts, I think it's Jesus and Mary and 500 spirits, or I don't know. I'd have to look it all up and see what it is, but it was something to see. It was spectacular, the Hall of the Grand Council. So anyway, after the prison cells, that was the end of the tour. You exit the building, and just a spectacular walk through. And that was surprisingly long. It threw me off guard of how long the tour was. So I went straight over to the Correr Museum, I think it's called, and didn't know what to expect in there. And I didn't see any signs about the filming the policy, so I started doing videos. And let me start this off with this. I'll show you some of the videos I started filming. About halfway through, somebody else came up to me and told me, "Hey, you can take photos, but no videos." So it's the same kind of situation from the Doge's palace. So let me show you a few things I started filming in the Correr Museum. I'm not sure why there's a bunch of little dots all over the statue here, but I can only guess it's probably they probably did a digital scan or something like that. Just a guess. I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty. I swear. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I tell you. So I have no idea who that is, or if it's a judge, or he just looks very judgmental, doesn't he? Like, guilty. Like something Captain Jack Sparrow would wear. These must be models of old Venetian ships. And is this a old lighthouse? Look how massive it is. Looks like a street lamp, but it's huge. Maybe it's a old school lighthouse. I'm not sure. Wow. Apparently this globe was made in the year 1615, and it's not behind a glass case or anything. All they have is this sign, and people don't touch it. It's amazing. Wow.
All right, I was having some fun there in the museum, and it was a lot of fun. I didn't, these huge museums are just massive, and I just don't have time to read all the little signs and learn about everything they're showing you. I'm sure it all has a very deep history and everything, but you could spend just days and days looking at all this stuff. So I was just walking through, having some fun with it. And but anyway, right about then, somebody asked me, hey, you can take photos, but no more video. I said, okay, sorry about that. And so anyway, I continued my tour and took some photos. And they just have an impressive amount of things in there. The coins, I think that's about where I left off the video. So they had coins. I think I showed you the year 400 and something, but later on, I found more coins. Later on in the tour, you go through another room with more coins dating from before Christ. And wow. And they had a big pile of them in there. And I was like, wow, that is unbelievable to see something like that in person. And so lots of stuff in there. They had lots of globes, things about shipbuilding, which is not surprising to see. They even have maps in there, but that's probably, they probably have a very interesting naval history from here in Venice. So that was neat to see that. They had models of ships and things like that. And they also had a lot of like Venetian furniture from the past, and just all kinds of stuff, sculptures and paintings. And there was just so much to see in there. And it was all about Venice. Venice history, so, and how it all came to be. So, yeah, I didn't really know what to expect in there. I still don't know much about what I saw in there. I didn't have time to read all of the literature and the signs and everything, but it was a nice walkthrough. They started closing down. I think they close at 5, but they started closing the rooms even at 4:30. Before the official closing time, because they're trying to get people to start going towards the exit and stuff. So they started kind of telling people, hey, you can't come this way anymore. And I think I managed to see all the rooms, but some people behind me didn't get to see some of the rooms that I did because they started closing them off and sending people towards the exit. So yeah, but that was an interesting museum. And time flew fast today, going through all of that. And those museums took longer than I thought, and I even missed lunch because those took all day. And there's so much to see. And all I saw today was St. Mark's Square. There's so much more to see here in Venice, and I just don't have time to see it all. And so if you're going to spend some time in Venice, you can really spend probably a week here and still not see everything. But that's going to be a running theme, I think, for the next couple of cities I visit. There's so much to see and do, and you just can't possibly do it all in one trip. So, yeah. So anyway, I wanted to wrap up my visit here in Venice, and I told you over dinner I've got things to say. Today was starting off spectacular. The Grand Canal tour on the boat was spectacular. If you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend checking that out. That was a spectacular boat ride, about 50 minutes. And then a big surprise for me was the St. Mark's Basilica, specifically the museum ticket that I got, where I got to go up the stairs and go see all kinds of areas of the Basilica that most people don't get to see unless you buy that museum pass. And there's so much more to see up there. There's tons of art and sculptures and things to look at up there, and you could spend a whole day just there alone. And so that was spectacular to see. And then it kind of started going downhill from there because the filming policy kind of threw me off. But one of the downers about Venice so far, I hate to say it, it's the people. the people have not been friendly at all towards me. The American tourists, I guess, I don't know, but they have no sense of personal space. I mean, they get right up in your business and make me feel very uncomfortable. And things like they'll be standing in a doorway, and I want to go through the doorway, so I'll go up to them. Excuse, pardon me, excuse me, and they just stand there, stare at you like you're a weirdo. They just stand there in the doorway, and it's been like things like that all day long. They just come right up on you and on your business from behind, or they just get right up next to you, and you're like, hey, there's a little space, and that just really grinds my nerves all day long. So I don't know if that's just a Venice thing or if that's an Italian thing, because if so, I'm in for it for another week or so. Maybe it's just Venice because it's tight. There's not a lot of space here in Venice for personal space and things. It's very tight quarters. It's a small city, and there's no streets and things like that. Tiny little alleyways. And so we'll see. Tomorrow we're heading to Florence. And we'll see if it's any better there. But yeah, so at the end of the day, my mood just went downhill real quick. That was just really wearing on me with the people. Nobody really went out of their way to say hello or with the one exception of that restaurant I ate at 2 nights in a row. Service was fantastic there. I highly recommend that restaurant. Really, really good food and service. Fantastic. But other than that, people didn't really go out of their way to be friendly. They weren't overly directly rude to me, but just the way they look at you like you're a foreigner. And they just kind of give you the up and down with their eyes, or they just don't get out of your way when you're trying to get past them, or just things like that just really didn't give me a very good impression of Italian people. So maybe it's just a one-off off day or something. I don't know, but that's just my first impression. So that was a big downer, and that's why I decided partly why I'm going to head to bed now instead of go back out to St. Mark's Square. And yeah, so really kind of wore me down a little bit. But overall, it was a great day. The sights were spectacular. The Grand Canal and the St. Mark's Basilica and Doge's Palace were all great. Spectacular sights to see. Beautiful, beautiful city and beautiful country as well. But anyway, tomorrow we're heading up to Florence. We're going to see the dome, the big dome up there, and a few other things. So stay tuned for the next video. And I'm going to wrap this video up and call it a night and get some sleep. So get ready for tomorrow. So anyway, it's all part of the adventures of travel. And it's not always 100% positive and amazing. It was amazing today, but there's a downside to it too. And it kind of wore down on me. But we'll give it a new day tomorrow, and we'll see how it goes. So until then, we're going to wrap up this video. So just one more thing to say, and you know what it is. Get out there and explore your world. We'll see you in the next video.